The bullet sang past Maya's ear close enough to feel the heat. She dropped flat into the snow, scope still pressed to her eye, watching the distant figure crumple through crosshairs, fogged with her own breath. "Contact north!" Cole's voice cracked through the wind. "Multiple!" The explosion cut him short. Orange fire bloomed on the ridgeline behind them. Their hide position, their gear, their radio. Maya's world narrowed to the sound of her own heartbeat and the crunch of boots on frozen ground. Dozens of them, closing fast. Cole grabbed her collar. "Move!" They ran. The mountain swallowed them whole, and somewhere in the white hell below, a door opened. A door that might be their salvation, or their grave. The cold didn't bother Maya Daniels anymore. 3 days in a snow hide would do that to you. Either you made peace with the ice in your bones, or you died trying to stay warm. She shifted her weight, felt the crunch of frozen earth beneath her elbow. The Barrett M82 rested in front of her like a patient predator, muzzle aimed at the valley checkpoint, 2,000 meters downrange. Through the scope, enemy sentries looked like toys. Dangerous toys that moved in patterns she'd memorized until they played behind her eyelids when she tried to sleep. "Coffee's cold," Cole Patterson muttered beside her, shaking a thermos that had given up the ghost yesterday. His weathered face was barely visible beneath the white camouflage wrap, but Maya caught the grin. "Just like my ex-wife." "Your ex-wife was hot-blooded, Grizzly. You told me that story 6 times. 7. You weren't listening the first time." Maya allowed herself half a smile. Cole had been her spotter for 8 months now, and the old bastard could find humor in a minefield. At 58, he should have been behind a desk at Fort Bragg, shouting at privates and counting days to retirement. Instead, he was here, lying in frozen misery because he'd volunteered for one more tour. Some men couldn't leave the war. It was the only place they made sense. "Movement," Maya said, voice dropping to business. "Southeast corner. Guard change." Cole brought up the spotting scope, a loopholed Mark IV that had seen action in 3 different conflicts. "Confirmed. 2 out, 2 in. Like clockwork. 3rd shift rotation, right on schedule." They'd been watching this pattern for 72 hours. The checkpoint controlled the only road through the mountain pass, a critical supply line for the insurgent forces dug into the valley. Command wanted eyes on it. Just watch and report. No engagement unless absolutely necessary. Maya hated watching. She joined the army to act, not to lie in the snow counting heads. But orders were orders, and Sergeant Maya Frost Daniels didn't break orders. That was the thing that separated soldiers from mercenaries: discipline, structure, trust in the chain of command. Trust. The word tasted bitter even in her thoughts. Trust had gotten 6 good men killed in Kandahar 2 years ago. Trust in an Afghan interpreter who'd turned out to be Taliban. Trust that had put Maya in front of a board of inquiry, her career hanging by a thread, her sleep haunted by the faces of men who'd believed her when she said the intel was solid. She'd learned. Trust had to be earned, verified, and constantly tested. Anything less was negligence. "Winds shifting," Cole said, checking his Kestrel weather meter. The small device beeped softly as it calculated. 3.2 miles per hour, quartering right. Temperature dropping fast. 28 degrees and falling. Storms coming, and it's going to be a mean one. Maya had already felt it in her gut. The sky had that bruised look, purple-gray and swollen with malice. The air tasted like metal. They had maybe 6 hours before the mountain buried them under 3 feet of snow. "We need to call in the report and extract," she said, already running the numbers. 4 clicks to the rally point. Rough terrain. In good weather, 90 minutes. In a blizzard, maybe 3 hours. Maybe never. Cole nodded, reaching for the radio pack. The AN/PRC-117G was their lifeline. Satellite uplink, encrypted comms, Backup battery good for another 48 hours. He keyed the mic twice, the standard radio check. Overwatch 7 to Firebase Kodiak, radio check, over. Static hissed in their earpieces. He tried again, adjusting the frequency slightly. Overwatch 7 to Firebase Kodiak, radio check, over. More static. Then a crackle that might have been a response or might have been atmospheric interference. Cole frowned, checked the settings. Signals weak. Storm's already playing hell with. The world exploded. Maya's training took over before her brain caught up. She saw the flash on the ridgeline above them. RPG launch signature, the unmistakable bloom of fire from a tube, and her body was already moving, rolling right as Cole grabbed the back of her parka. The rocket-propelled grenade hit their hide position dead center. The concussion wave lifted Maya off the ground like God had backhanded her. She flew 3 meters and slammed into a boulder, the impact driving the air from her lungs in a whoosh that left her gasping. Her ears rang like church bells, a high-pitched whine that drowned out everything. Snow and rock rained down. Through the white chaos, she saw Cole on his back, mouth open in a shout she couldn't hear. Blood ran from his nose. His eyes were wide but focused, still in the fight. Then the gunfire started. Muzzle flashes lit up the tree line 300 meters upslope. AK Patton rifles. She recognized the sound even through the ringing in her ears, that distinctive crack, crack, crack of 7.62 by 39 millimeter rounds. At least a dozen shooters, maybe more. Disciplined fire, covering each other as they advanced downslope in bounds. Professional, not insurgents, mercenaries. The snow around Maya kicked up in angry little geysers as bullets searched for flesh. She low-crawled to Cole, grabbed his drag handle, the reinforced loop on the back of his plate carrier, and pulled. He weighed 220 soaking wet, and right now he might as well have been made of lead. Her shoulders screamed, her fingers were numb. The Barrett was gone, buried under rubble, or blown apart, she didn't know which, and didn't have time to care. The radio pack was a smoking crater, plastic and circuitry melted into slag. They were deaf and blind, cut off, alone. "Can you move?" she shouted in Cole's ear, pressing her mouth against his head so he'd hear her through the ringing. He blinked, focused on her, and nodded. Blood ran from his nose and ears. Concussion, definitely. But he could move, and that was enough. They scrambled down the slope, using every scrap of cover the mountain offered. Maya's sidearm, a Sig Sauer M17, was still holstered at her hip. 17 rounds. Cole had his pistol too, 34 rounds total against an enemy force that had just cut their primary weapon in communications in one perfectly executed strike. Someone had sold them out. Someone knew exactly where they'd be, exactly when to hit them, exactly how to cut them off from support. The thought burned hotter than the adrenaline in her veins. Above them, voices shouted in Russian. Coordinates, grid references. They were calling in their position, organizing a pursuit. These weren't opportunistic fighters. This was a planned operation. A round snapped past Maya's head close enough to tug at her hair. She ducked behind a fallen log, pulled Cole down beside her. "We need to move. Now." "Where?" Cole wheezed, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Maya checked her wrist-mounted GPS. The screen was cracked, spiderwebbed from corner to corner, but the backlight still worked. 4 clicks to the rally point, uphill, directly through the enemy's line of advance. Not an option. "Down," she said, "into the valley, circle back after dark." If they lived that long. The mountain fought them every step. Ice-slicked rock that turned ankles. Hidden crevices that could swallow a man whole. Deadfall timber covered in snow that looked solid until it collapsed under their weight, sending them tumbling into drifts that buried them to the waist. Maya led, testing each foothold before committing her weight. Behind her, Cole breathed too hard. The kind of labored gasping that said his lungs were working overtime, to keep his brain oxygenated. Concussion symptoms. He needed rest, warmth, medical attention. He was getting none of those things. "Keep up, old man," she said, trying to keep it light, trying to pretend this wasn't a death march. "I'm keeping," he wheezed. They slid down a scree field, loose stones and gravel that shifted underfoot like ball bearings. Maya went first, half-controlled fall and half prayer, her boots kicking up small avalanches that cascaded down the slope. She hit bottom and immediately took a knee, pistol up, scanning for threats. Cole followed, slower, more careful. Too careful. Every second they spent in the open was another second for the enemy to get a beat on them. The gunfire had stopped 5 minutes ago. That was worse. It meant the enemy was moving, flanking, setting up the kill box properly this time. They'd be using radios, coordinating fields of fire, moving with the kind of tactical proficiency that turned ambushes into massacres. Maya checked her GPS again. 3.7 clicks to the rally point. But the battery icon was flashing. 5% charge. Maybe 10 minutes of life left. After that, navigation would be by compass and dead reckoning through terrain she'd only seen on satellite photos. "There," Cole said, pointing downslope with a hand that trembled slightly. "Structure, 11 o'clock. Maya followed his finger and saw it, a small building tucked against the mountainside, almost invisible against the rock face. Smoke rose from a chimney, a thin gray thread that the wind tore apart almost immediately. Isolated. No other structures visible within a kilometer. "Could be a trap," she said. "Could be shelter." The wind picked up, howling through the rocks like a living thing. The first snowflakes began to fall, big, heavy flakes that meant business. In an hour, visibility would drop to 50 meters. In 2 hours, they'd be in a whiteout. In 3 hours, they'd be hypothermic corpses, frozen in whatever position they'd collapsed in. "We need cover," Cole said, and there was something in his voice that made Maya turn. He was looking down at his leg. Blood. A dark stain spreading across his left thigh, soaking through the white camouflage pants. The fabric was torn, a ragged hole about the size of a quarter. Entry wound. Maya felt her stomach drop. "When?" "During the slide, caught a rock, I thought." He touched the wound, hissed. "Or maybe a ricochet. Doesn't matter." It mattered. It mattered a hell of a lot. Maya pulled his arm over her shoulder, took his weight. He was heavier now, or she was weaker. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind a bone-deep exhaustion that made every step feel like wading through concrete. They stumbled forward, toward the building that might save them or kill them. At this point, Maya would take either over freezing to death. At least dying warm had some dignity to it. The house was older than God, rough-hewn logs chinked with moss and mud, a roof of corrugated metal patched with tar paper and hope. One window, dark glass reflecting nothing. No movement inside, no shadows, no sign of life beyond the smoke from the chimney. A goat pen stood empty beside the house, the fence half collapsed under snow. A rusted plow leaned against the wall, its blade broken. This was a place time had forgotten, or maybe a place where time had never mattered much to begin with. Maya eased Cole against the wall beside the door. He slid down slowly, leaving a smear of blood on the weathered wood. His face was gray, lips pale. Shock, maybe, or blood loss, or both. She drew her pistol, press-checked it, round in the chamber, ready to fire, and approached the door. Old instincts kicked in. Fatal funnel. Don't stand directly in front. Angle yourself. Be ready to move. She listened. Wind. Her own breathing, too fast, too shallow. The distant crack of a tree branch breaking under ice. Nothing from inside the house. She knocked. 3 sharp raps. Nothing. She knocked again, harder. "U.S. Army, we need help. My partner is wounded." The door opened. An old man stood in the threshold, axe in both hands, blade down but ready to rise. His eyes were wide with the kind of fear that came from living too close to war for too long. The look of someone who'd learned that men with guns brought nothing but grief. He was 70 if he was a day. Face like weathered leather, deep lines carved by wind and worry. Gray hair, wild and unkempt. He wore layers of wool, a thick sweater over a work shirt over thermal underwear, all of it patched and repatched. "No war," he said in thick, broken English, each word carefully formed. "No war here, please." "We're not bringing war," Maya said, holstering her pistol slowly, showing her hands empty. Non-threatening, vulnerable, everything her training screamed against. "My friend is hurt. We need shelter, just for the night, please." The old man looked past her at Cole, saw the blood, and his expression shifted. Not quite trust, but something close to pity. Or maybe recognition. Maybe he'd seen this scene before. Soldiers bleeding out on his doorstep, begging for mercy the world wouldn't give them. He stepped aside. "Come. Fast." Maya half-carried Cole through the door. The interior was warm, blessedly, impossibly warm. Heat hit her like a physical thing, and her body responded immediately, shaking violently as circulation returned to frozen extremities. Her fingers burned. Her toes screamed. A wood stove dominated the corner, cast iron and ancient, embers glowing orange in the grate. Simple furniture, a table scarred with knife marks, two chairs that didn't match, a sleeping pallet in the far corner piled with wool blankets, shelves lined with jars of preserved food, pickled vegetables probably, or fruit. Hard to tell in the dim light, herbs hanging from the rafters, bundles of dried plants she didn't recognize, the smell of smoke and old sweat and something medicinal. And on the wall, above the table, a photograph, faded, cracked, edges curling with age, but clear enough. The old man, 30 years younger, standing with soldiers in Desert Storm-era BDUs, chocolate chip camouflage, an Allied interpreter badge pinned to his chest, American flags on the shoulders of the men around him. The old man saw her looking and nodded once, slow and deliberate. "Luka," he said, tapping his chest with two fingers. Then he pointed at Cole, who was barely conscious now. "I help. Done before." Maya wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe the photo, the careful way he lowered the axe, the concern in his eyes. But belief was a luxury she couldn't afford. Not after Kandahar, not after 6 good men had died because she'd believed. "Help him," she said, "but I'm watching you." Luka nodded. He understood. Maybe he'd heard those words before. Luka worked with the efficiency of someone who'd patched bullet wounds before, and recently. He moved without hesitation, gathering supplies from the shelves, boiling water on the stove, laying out tools on a clean cloth. A knife that looked sharp enough to shave with, strips of linen, a clay jar filled with something that smelled like pine sap and antiseptic. Maya kept her pistol on the table, within reach. She didn't aim it at Luka, but the threat was implicit. One wrong move, one hint of betrayal. Trust had to be earned. Luka cut away Cole's pants leg with a knife, careful strokes that parted fabric without touching skin. The wound was ugly, a through and through, high on the outer thigh. The bullet had missed the femoral artery by maybe 2 inches. Lucky. But the wound was dirty, contaminated with cloth fibers and mountain grit. Infection in these conditions was a death sentence, as sure as a bullet to the brain. Cole was semi-conscious now, eyes half open, mumbling something about his ex-wife and a fishing trip in Montana. Shock. His body was shutting down non-essential systems to conserve energy for survival. Luka poured hot water over the wound, flushing out debris. Cole groaned, but didn't cry out. Then the old man reached for the clay jar, scooped out a handful of the greenish paste inside, and packed it directly into the wound channel. "What is that?" Maya demanded. Luka paused, looked at her. "Medicine. Old, He struggled for the word. Grandfather medicine. For wound. For... He made a gesture of something spreading, growing. Stop bad. Stop sick. Antibacterial. Probably something passed down through generations. Folk remedy with actual medical properties. The Soviets had used similar stuff during World War II when penicillin was scarce. It might work, it might not, but it was better than nothing. Cole hissed as the paste went in, his hands clenching into fists. Luka worked quickly, packing both entry and exit wounds, then wrapping the leg tight with linen strips. A proper field dressing. He'd done this before, multiple times. When it was done, Luka made Cole drink something from a clay cup, tea that smelled like pine and earth and something bitter. Cole's face twisted with disgust, but he drank it down. For pain, Luka said. And, he mimed, closing his eyes, resting his head on his hands. Sleep. Body fix when sleep. Sedative. Probably opium-based or something similar. Cole would be out for hours. Maya watched Cole's eyes droop, watched his breathing slow and deepen. Within minutes, he was asleep, snoring softly. The tension in his face eased. Pain erased by chemistry. Good, Luka said, pulling a blanket over Cole. He's strong. He live. How many soldiers have you treated? Maya asked. Luka held up both hands, fingers spread. 10. Then again. Then a third time. 30 soldiers. 30 men had come to this door, wounded and desperate, and Luka had helped them. Or killed them. Maya's hand drifted toward her pistol. You think I bad, Luka said, watching her. His English was broken, but his meaning was clear. You think I hurt soldier. I see an eye. He tapped his temple. I understand. War make people, He made a gesture of walls closing in, fingers forming a cage. Not trust. He was right. Maya didn't trust him. Couldn't trust him. The photo on the wall could be fake. The medicines could be poisoned. The whole setup could be an elaborate trap to lure in American soldiers, strip them of gear and intel, and sell their locations to the highest bidder. It had happened before. It would happen again. I'm going to watch you, Maya said. Every move, every breath. And if you do anything that threatens us, I will put a bullet in your head without hesitation. Do you understand? Luka nodded slowly. I understand. I do same. War teach all people same lesson. He moved to the stove, added wood, adjusted the damper. Then he sat on a stool by the door, wrapped in his worn sweater, and closed his eyes. But Maya noticed he kept the axe within arm's reach. At 2100 hours, Cole was asleep, knocked out by whatever Luka had given him. The old man busied himself with small tasks, cleaning the knife, organizing his shelves, adding wood to the fire. He moved carefully, quietly, like someone used to making himself small in a world that noticed the loud ones first. Maya sat at the table, field stripping her pistol. Maintenance was meditative. It gave her hands something to do while her mind worked the problem from every angle. They'd been compromised. Someone had known their position down to the meter. That meant either a leak at Firebase Kodiak, someone on the inside feeding intel to the enemy, or someone on the ground had been watching. The ambush had been too precise, too well timed. You didn't stumble into a hidden sniper nest by accident. You didn't hit it with an RPG on the first shot unless you knew exactly where it was. She thought about the men at Firebase Kodiak. Captain Morrison, the CO. Solid officer, 3 tours, Bronze Star. Lieutenant Chen, the XO. Young, eager, by the book. Staff Sergeant Williams, the Intel NCO. 15 years in, about to retire. Any of them could be compromised. Blackmail, money, ideology, didn't matter. Traitors came in all flavors. Or maybe it wasn't Firebase Kodiak at all. Maybe it was someone further up the chain. Someone with access to operational plans. Someone who knew where every asset was positioned, every hide site, every patrol route. The possibilities multiplied like cancer cells. Maya reassembled the pistol, racked the slide, 15 rounds in the mag, one in the chamber. Cole had maybe the same, assuming his pistol hadn't been damaged in the ambush. 32 rounds total. Against how many? She'd counted at least 12 shooters at the ambush site. Professional kit, coordinated movements, probably a full platoon, 30 to 40 men. The math wasn't good. Luka brought her tea without asking. A clay mug, steam rising, the smell of herbs and honey. She didn't drink it, didn't even touch it. "You know trust," Luka observed, not offended, just stating fact. "No," Maya agreed, "is good, smart." He sat across from her, his own mug in hand. "I have tea many time. You watch. I drink first." He lifted the mug to his lips and drank, maintaining eye contact. Then he set it down and waited. Maya waited too. 5 minutes. 10. If it was poisoned, the effects would show. But Luka just sat there, calm, breathing steady, no signs of distress. She picked up her mug and took a small sip. The tea was bitter and sweet at the same time, warmth spreading through her chest. She hadn't realized how cold she still was until the heat hit her stomach. "How long have you lived here?" she asked. Luka held up both hands, fingers spread, then repeated the gesture 3 times. 30 years, maybe more. He'd been here since before the Soviet Union fell, before the wars that had torn this region apart, before soldiers became currency. "Alone?" He hesitated. The pause was just a fraction too long. Then he nodded. "Yes, alone." Liar. Maya filed that away. She stood, stretched, rolled her shoulders. 3 days in a sniper hide left muscles tight and joints aching. She walked the perimeter of the room under the pretense of working out the kinks. But she was searching. Cole snored softly by the stove, dead to the world. Luka watched her from the table, not hostile but wary, like a deer watching a hunter who hadn't raised the rifle yet. The floorboards creaked under Maya's boots. Old wood, warped and weathered. But in one spot near the sleeping pallet, the creak was different. Hollow. The sound of empty space beneath. Maya knelt, ran her fingers along the boards, felt for the seam. Found it. A trap door, cleverly disguised, the edges worn smooth from repeated opening. She lifted it. Underneath was a shallow space, maybe 18 inches deep. Inside, dog tags. 4 sets, U.S. Army, stamped metal catching the firelight. Names she didn't recognize. Serial numbers. Blood types. And underneath the tags, a patrol cap, faded and torn, with a 10th Mountain Division patch barely visible through the grime. Maya's blood went ice cold. She looked up at Luka. He stood frozen by the table, hands at his sides, face unreadable. Not surprised, not afraid, just resigned. "Where did you get these?" Maya asked, her voice quiet and dangerous. Luka opened his mouth, closed it, pointed at the door, then at the ground outside, then mimed digging with an invisible shovel. "You buried them." He nodded, slow and heavy. "They come here, winter, like you, hurt, cold. Some," he touched his chest over his heart. "Bullet here. Some," he touched his head. "Sick, brain sick, from cold. I try help. They die. I bury. Mountain is, ah," he gestured broadly, "full of grave. I give respect. I put stone. I remember name." Maya stood, the dog tags cold in her palm. 4 men. 4 American soldiers who'd come to this door seeking shelter and found only death. Did you kill them? The question hung in the air like a blade. Luka's face crumpled, decades of grief surfacing in an instant. "No," he said, and his voice cracked. "No. I try save, I try, but mountain too strong, cold too strong, war too strong. They die. I cry. I bury, I, he touched his chest again, over his heart. I carry, every day, 30 soldier I try save, 15 die. I remember every face. 15 dead, 15 men whose bodies were buried somewhere on this mountain, 15 families who would never know what happened to their sons, their brothers, their fathers. Maya wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But the dog tags in her hand were evidence, and evidence didn't lie, even when people did. She closed the hiding space and stood. We'll talk about this tomorrow. Luka nodded, retreated to his stool by the door and sat. Not sleeping, not relaxing, just waiting, watching. The axe leaned against the wall beside him, always within reach. Maya sat back down at the table, pistol beside her, and stared at the dog tags until the stamped metal blurred. 4 names, 4 men who trusted the wrong person, or made the wrong choice, or just had the bad luck to be in the wrong place when God rolled the dice. She wouldn't be number 5. At 0230 hours, Maya heard it. A soft creak. Overhead. Rhythmic. Deliberate. Like footsteps. Like someone trying to move quietly, but not quite succeeding. She was on her feet instantly, pistol up, aimed at the ceiling. The house was single-story. She'd checked. There was no second floor. Just rafters and roof, and maybe a crawl space for storage. But someone, something, was moving up there. Another creak, then a pause, then movement again, slow and careful. Luka's eyes snapped open. He saw where Maya's pistol was aimed and went pale. He stood, shaking his head frantically, hands raised in a placating gesture. "No," he whispered, urgent and desperate. "No, please, please, no." Maya kept the pistol trained on the ceiling. "Who's up there?" "Please, I explain. Just who is up there?" Cole stirred by the fire but didn't wake, still deep in whatever dream the sedative had pulled him into. Maya moved toward the corner where a crude ladder leaned against the wall, leading up to a hatch in the ceiling. Attic access, or storage, or a hiding place. The footsteps stopped. Silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Maya could hear her own heartbeat, could feel it hammering against her ribs. Her finger rested on the trigger, pressure building. Luka stepped between her and the ladder. "Please," he said again, and now his voice was breaking, decades of English lessons failing him in his panic. "No hurt. She only move. She child, only child. She see soldier before, bad soldier, men who hurt, men who take. She afraid, please." The word she registered. A girl, a child. Maya's mind raced. A hostage? A refugee? Or bait for a trap? "Bring her down," Maya said, voice hard. "Now, slowly, hands where I can see them." Luka nodded, moved to the ladder. He climbed slowly, each rung a prayer. At the top, he pushed open the hatch, hinges creaking in protest, and spoke softly in a language Maya didn't recognize. Not Russian, not any of the local dialects she'd heard. Something older, maybe, or more isolated. A moment passed, then another. Then a small face appeared in the opening. A girl, maybe 10 years old, maybe younger. Hard to tell with the shadows and the fear. Dark hair, tangled and unwashed. Eyes too big for her face, hollow with the kind of hunger that went beyond food. She wore layers of too big clothes. Men's shirts, probably Luka's, wrapped around her thin frame like armor. She clutched a rag doll in one hand, its face worn smooth by years of desperate holding. She opened her mouth, tried to speak, but no sound came out. Her lips moved, forming words in silence. Her hands began to gesture frantically, sign language probably, or some personal code she developed with Luka. Mute, either from birth or from trauma. Either way, she was terrified. Luka signed back, his hands moving in rapid, practiced motions. The girl hesitated, then climbed down the ladder one slow rung at a time. never taking her eyes off Maya's pistol. When she reached the floor, she pressed herself against Luka's side, making herself as small as possible. The old man wrapped an arm around her, protective, defiant. "Granddaughter," he said, the word thick with accent. "Only granddaughter. She good, quiet, no trouble, never trouble." Maya lowered the pistol but didn't holster it. "You didn't think to mention her?" "You have gun," Luka said simply. "I have fear. Soldier before. They see girl, they—" He couldn't finish. Didn't need to. Maya understood. The girl watched Maya with eyes that had seen too much, too soon. Eyes that had learned to read danger before it arrived, to disappear before violence found her. Survival eyes. Maya thought about the dog tags, about 15 dead soldiers, about the men Luka had buried with his own hands. Had any of them threatened this girl? Had that been why they died, not from cold or wounds, but from an old man protecting the only family he had left? She holstered the pistol. The girl's shoulders sagged slightly, tension draining just a fraction. But she didn't relax, didn't trust. She knew better. "What's her name?" Maya asked. Luka signed to the girl. She signed back quick and sharp. "She no give name to soldier," Luka translated. "Name is, power. Give name, give power." She learned this. Smart girl. In a world where men with guns called the shots, anonymity was armor. Outside, the wind howled, throwing snow against the window in angry handfuls. The storm was reaching its peak. Visibility would be zero. Temperature well below freezing. Nothing was moving out there except the weather. But somewhere in that white hell, the enemy waited. Patient, professional, ready to finish what they'd started as soon as the storm broke. Maya looked at the girl, at Luka, at Cole sleeping by the fire. 3 lives depending on her now, 4 if she counted herself. "We'll talk in the morning," she said, sitting back down at the table. "And you'll tell me everything." Luka nodded. The girl climbed back up the ladder, disappearing into the darkness of the crawlspace. Safe, hidden, silent. Maya kept watch through the longest night of her life, the dog tags cold in her pocket, a reminder that trust was a luxury the dead couldn't afford. Dawn came gray and mean. Maya watched it through the window, a slow lightening of darkness into something just barely less oppressive. The storm hadn't broken. If anything, it had intensified. Snow fell in sheets so thick she couldn't see the goat pen 10 meters from the house. They were trapped. Completely, utterly trapped. Cole woke at 0600 hours, groggy and disoriented. His first instinct was to reach for his weapon. Good training, muscle memory overriding the fog in his brain. Then he saw Maya at the table and relaxed slightly. "Status?" he croaked, his voice rough. "Storm's still going. We're stuck. You've been out for 8 hours." Cole looked down at his leg, saw the bandaging, touched it gingerly. "Did you—" "Luka did it." Maya nodded toward the old man, who was stoking the fire, adding wood with careful precision. "He's got medical training. Says he was an interpreter. There's a photo." Cole squinted at the wall, saw the Desert Storm picture, and some of the tension left his shoulders. "Gulf War. Lot of locals worked with us. Good people mostly." "Mostly," Maya echoed, the word bitter. Cole caught her tone, read her body language. He'd worked with her long enough to know when she was running on fumes and paranoia. "How long you been up?" "All night." "Maya, I'm fine." "You're not fine. You haven't slept in, what, 4 days now? You need rest." "I'll rest when we're extracted." She kept her voice low, but Luka glanced over anyway. The old man's hearing was better than his age suggested. Cole tried to sit up, hissed as pain lanced through his leg. The sedative was wearing off, leaving behind the raw reality of torn muscle and damaged tissue. "How bad is it?" "Through and through. Missed the artery. You'll walk again, but not today." Today would be inconvenient anyway. Cole gestured at the window, at the white wall of weather beyond. Nobody's moving in that. The enemy will move as soon as it breaks. Then we've got time. Cole accepted a cup of water from Luka, drank it carefully. What's our situation? Comms? Dead. Radio took a direct hit from the RPG. Weapons? 2 M17s, maybe 60 rounds total between us. Extraction timeline? Firebase Kodiak will have marked us KIA or captured by now. Standard protocol is 72 hours before they launch search and rescue. We're at hour 14. Cole did the math. 58 hours before anyone comes looking. And that's assuming they can find us in this terrain, in this weather. Assuming they try at all. Maya's voice was flat. We were compromised, Grizzly. Someone knew where we were. Someone set us up. Cole was quiet for a long moment. Then, you think it's internal. I think someone's getting paid. Question is who and how far up the chain it goes. Luka brought them both food, hard bread, cheese, dried meat. Simple fare but hot and filling. Maya ate mechanically, fuel for the machine. She didn't taste it. The old man sat across from them, his own plate untouched. Storm bad, he said. Maybe 2 days, maybe 3. 3 days? Cole looked alarmed. Luka nodded. I see before. Mountain storm. They stay long. Kill many people who try go outside. Maya's mind raced. 3 days trapped in this house with an old man she didn't trust. A mute girl hiding in the rafters. And an enemy force waiting for clear weather to finish the job. 3 days with dwindling supplies and no way to call for help. The wall seemed to press in closer. By 0900 hours, Maya couldn't hold it in anymore. The dog tags weighed heavy in her pocket, 4 dead men demanding answers. She pulled them out, laid them on the table one by one. The metal clinked against wood, each tag a small accusation. These men, she said, watching Luka's face, tell me about them. Luka's expression crumpled. He reached for the tags with trembling fingers, traced the stamped names like reading Braille. This one, he said, touching the first, SPC Martinez, come in winter, shot in belly. I try help, he die in 3 hour, very brave. He asked me tell family he sorry. He moved to the second tag. SGT Williams, helicopter crash. He only one alive. Walk 5 day, leg broke, sick from cold. Brain not work right. He, Luka tapped his temple. See things not there. Fight me. I tie him down. Try make warm. He die in sleep. Third tag. CPL Jackson. Summer, 2 year ago. He run from enemy. Come here. I hide him. Enemy come, search house. I lie. They believe. Jackson stay 3 day. Then infection in arm. From old wound. I know have medicine. He die. I bury him with honor. Fourth tag. PFC Chen. Young. 18, maybe 19. Lost. No wound, just lost. Winter storm, like now. He knock on door. I give food. He say thank you. He leave. I find him next morning, 50 meter from house. Freeze to death. He try go home. Mountain not let him. Luka's hands shook as he set down the last tag. I bury all. I say prayer. I remember every face, every name, every... His voice broke. Cole shifted uncomfortably by the fire. Maya, he's telling the truth. You don't know that. Look at him. That's not the face of a man who killed those soldiers. Maya wanted to believe it. But belief was a traitor. Maybe he's a good actor. Maybe he works for whoever ambushed us. Maybe this whole setup, the photo, the medicine, the tragic story, is designed to make us lower our guard. That's paranoia talking. That's experience talking. Maya leaned forward, fixed Luka with a hard stare. Who else knows we're here? No one. The enemy passed by yesterday. You said you talked to them. I tell them go away. I say no soldier here. They believe. Why would they believe you? Luka met her eyes. Because I pay them. I give food. I give, ah. He made a gesture of coins. Money, small money. They take, they leave. They no search. You paid them off. Yes, for many year, I pay. They leave me alone. I live quiet. I protect. He glanced up at the ceiling, where soft sounds of movement suggested the girl was awake. Protect your granddaughter, Maya finished. Luka nodded. She all I have. Only family. Only reason. He looked at Maya with eyes that had seen too much loss. You have family? Someone you protect? Maya thought about her sister back in Ohio, thought about nieces and nephews she barely knew, birthdays she'd missed, Christmases spent in forward operating bases in forgotten mountains. Yes, then you understand. For family, we do anything. Lie, steal, pay bad men, anything. Cole spoke up from the fire. He's right, Maya. This isn't a trap. It's just an old man trying to survive in a war zone he didn't ask for. Maya wanted to believe them. God, she wanted to. But Kandahar burned in her memory. 6 coffins, 6 funerals, 6 families destroyed because she'd believed an interpreter who'd seemed sincere, seemed trustworthy, seemed human. Trust killed. She gathered the dog tags, put them back in her pocket. I'm watching you, she said to Luka. Every move. The old man nodded, resigned. I understand. At 1300 hours, they heard engines. Maya was at the window instantly, wiping frost from the glass, peering into the white hell. Through the snow, she caught glimpses of movement, dark shapes on the road below the house. Vehicles, 2, maybe 3, heavy trucks, Russian Gaz 66 pattern, 4-wheel drive monsters built for terrain like this. Contact, she hissed. Ground level, 300 meters. Cole struggled to his feet, hopped to the window on one leg. I count 2 vehicles, cargo trucks, maybe 8 to 12 personnel. The truck stopped. Doors opened. Men climbed out, bulky figures in winter gear, rifles slung across their chests. They moved with purpose, spreading out, searching for them. They're sweeping the area, Cole said. Systematic, professional. One group of men moved toward the house. 4 of them, weapons up, covering each other's movements. They knew what they were doing. Maya's hand went to her pistol. 16 rounds. 4 men. Manageable, except for the others still at the trucks. And the noise. Gunfire would bring everyone running. Luka appeared beside her, moving faster than his age should have allowed. I go talk, he said. I make them leave. No, I must. If they search house, they find you. They find her. He looked at the ceiling. Better I talk. I pay. They go. And if they don't go? Luka pulled a knife from his belt. Not the medical knife, but something older, darker. A weapon that had tasted blood before. Then I do what old man must do. Cole touched Maya's arm. Let him try. We don't have a better option. Maya's tactical brain ran the scenarios. Fight, maybe take the 4 in front, but the ones at the trucks would respond. 8 against 2, with Cole wounded and limited ammunition. Bad odds. Run. Nowhere to go in a blizzard. Hide. Where? The crawl space was obvious and they didn't have time to make it look undisturbed. Talk was the only play. Go, Maya said. But we're covering you. If this goes sideways... I know. Luka moved to the door, opened it. Cold air rushed in, stealing the warmth from the room. He stepped out, closing the door behind him. Maya moved to the window, pistol drawn, tracking the approaching men through the glass. Cole positioned himself by the door, ready to support. Through the muffled sound of wind and snow, Maya heard voices. Russian. Luka's broken attempt at the language. Laughter, cruel, mocking. The universal sound of men with power humiliating someone without it. One of the men shoved Luka. The old man stumbled but didn't fall. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. More talking. Luka reached into his coat, pulled out something small. Money, probably. Held it out. The leader, easy to spot by the way the others deferred to him, took the money, counted it, and shook his head. Not enough. He said something sharp, gestured at the house. Luka shook his head, pleading, holding up his hands. The leader hit him. Luka went down hard, blood dark against white snow. Maya, Cole warned. Wait. Her voice was steel. Every instinct screamed at her to intervene, but tactics demanded patience. Let it play out. Let them make the first mistake. The leader kicked Luka in the ribs. Once. Twice. The old man curled into a ball, protecting his head, not fighting back. Smart. Old men who fought back got killed. Old men who cowered sometimes got to live. The leader barked orders. 2 men grabbed Luka, hauled him to his feet. The 4th man moved toward the house. They're coming in, Maya said. Cole readied his pistol, awkward from his position on one leg. Orders? Maya's mind raced. If the mercenary entered, he'd see them. If he saw them, he'd call the others. If he called the others, everyone died, including the girl in the ceiling. On my mark, Maya said. Suppress fire, pistols only, no kills unless necessary. That's going to bring the whole group. Better than letting them find her. The doorknob turned. The door opened. The mercenary stepped inside, rifle leading, eyes adjusting from the bright white of snow to the dim interior. He was big, easily 200 pounds of muscle and gear. Combat veteran, judging by the scars on his face and the way he moved. He saw Maya and froze. For one perfect heartbeat, neither of them moved. Then training took over. He started to raise his rifle. Maya fired first. The M17 barked once, a sharp crack in the confined space. The suppressed round caught the mercenary in the shoulder, spinning him, destroying his aim. He went down, cursing in Russian, trying to bring his weapon to bear. Cole fired from the doorway, 2 quick shots that stitched across the man's legs. Leg shots. Disabling, not killing. The mercenary screamed, dropped his rifle, clutched his wounds. Outside voices shouted, running footsteps. The other 3 mercenaries converging on the sound of gunfire. Maya moved fast, grabbed the wounded man's rifle, an AK-74M, full magazine, recent manufacture. Professional gear. She chambered around, moved to the window. 3 men approaching, weapons up, moving tactically, trained, not panicking. One went high, one low, one held center. Textbook entry formation. She fired through the window, shattering glass, sending suppressive rounds downrange. Not aiming to hit, aiming to stop the advance by seconds. The mercenaries scattered, seeking cover behind the goat pen and a pile of firewood. We can't hold them, Cole said, reloading his pistol with his spare magazine. Last one. They'll flank us, box us in. Maya knew he was right. The house had 2 entrances, the front door and a small back door that led to what passed for a kitchen. Both were tactically vulnerable. And somewhere below, at the trucks, there were more men. 8, maybe 10, all armed, all professional. The math didn't work. Then she heard it, a shout from outside. Different voice, higher pitch. Luka. The old man was yelling in Russian, his voice carrying over the wind. Maya couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. Desperation, pleading, offering something. The shooting stopped. Silence stretched, broken only by the moaning of the wounded mercenary on the floor. Then footsteps, slow, deliberate, someone approaching the house. Alone. The leader appeared in the doorway, the one who'd hit Luka. He held his rifle casually, pointed at the ground. Not aggressive, not surrendering, just negotiating. American, he said in thickly accented English. You kill my man? Maya kept her liberated AK trained on his center mass. He'll live if you get him to a medic. The leader glanced at the wounded man, dismissed him with a shrug. He is weak, Pain make him useless. He looked at Maya with eyes like chips of ice. You are problem. You're the one who ambushed us. Orders. Nothing personal. It's personal to me. The leader smiled, a predator's smile, empty of warmth. Old man say he hide you, say he protect you. He offer money, more money, much more. He held up a thick bundle of cash, American hundreds, weathered and worn. Where had Luka gotten that much money? He beg, he say you are wounded, no threat. He ask we take money and go. Are you going to? The leader tilted his head, considering. That depend. You stay here, quiet, we take money and go. Storm break, we forget we see you. You try leave before storm finish. He drew a finger across his throat. Not personal, just business. Maya's mind raced. The offer was simple. Stay hidden, stay quiet, live. Leave and die. It was a good deal, tactically speaking. Better than fighting their way out against superior numbers. But it also meant trusting mercenaries. Trusting that they'd keep their word. Trusting that gold was thicker than blood. Trust. Always came back to trust. How do I know you'll keep your word? Maya asked. The leader shrugged. You don't. But I keep word because it's good business. You die, more Americans come. They look. They find. They ask questions. Bad for business. You live, you go home. You forget mountain. Everyone happy. Cole spoke from his position by the fire. Maya, we don't have a choice. There's always a choice. Not one that doesn't end with us dead and that girl orphaned. That hit home. Maya thought about the child in the ceiling, traumatized and mute, watching through cracks in the floorboards as violence played out below. How many times had she seen this? How many times had armed men filled this house with threats and fear? Maya lowered the rifle. The leader nodded, satisfied. He called out in Russian. The other mercenaries appeared, dragged their wounded comrade out into the snow. The leader pocketed Luka's money, gave Maya one last look. 3 days, he said. Storm break in 3 days. You stay inside. You stay alive. Deal? Deal. He left, closing the door behind him. Moments later, engines roared to life. The trucks pulled away, tires churning through deep snow, until they disappeared into the white wall of the storm. Luka stumbled back inside, face bloody, ribs probably cracked, but alive. He collapsed by the fire, breathing hard. Expensive conversation, Maya said. Luka managed a pained smile. Better expensive than dead. She couldn't argue with that. By evening, Cole's condition deteriorated. The fever started slow, just elevated temperature, slightly flushed skin. Maya noticed it first, saw the sheen of sweat on his forehead despite the cold. By 1800 hours, he was burning up, delirious, mumbling about Montana and fishing and his ex-wife. Infection. Despite Luka's treatment, despite the herbal paste and clean bandages, something had gotten into the wound. Maybe during the initial injury, maybe during the frantic descent down the mountain. Didn't matter. What mattered was that Cole was dying by degrees. Luka worked frantically, changing bandages, applying fresh medicine, making teas from his stores of dried herbs. But medicine only went so far. What Cole needed was antibiotics, real antibiotics, modern medicine, a hospital, none of which were available. How bad? Maya asked quietly, watching the old man work. Luka didn't sugarcoat it. Bad. Infection in blood. If we no stop, he die. Maybe 2 days, maybe less. Maya felt something cold settle in her chest. Cole had been her partner, her mentor, the one constant in a world that kept shifting. He taught her to read wind, to calculate bullet drop, to find peace in the chaos of combat. He'd saved her life in Fallujah, pulled her out of a burning vehicle while rounds cooked off around them. She couldn't lose him to infection in a forgotten house on a frozen mountain. "What do you need?" she asked. Luka looked at her surprised. "You trust me now?" I trust that you want to keep us alive. That's enough for the moment. I need... Luka thought hard, translating medical concepts into broken English. Medicine, strong medicine, for infection, not here, in village, 10-kilometer down mountain. 10 clicks in a blizzard. Yes, impossible. Nothing's impossible. Maya moved to the window, studied the storm. It had lessened slightly, from certain death to probable death. Visibility had improved to maybe 100 meters. Not good, but marginally less suicidal than it had been. No, Cole croaked from the floor, half conscious but tracking the conversation. Maya, no. You'll die out there. You'll die in here. I'm already dying. Don't throw your life away for a maybe. You're not dying. Not today. Not on my watch. She turned to Luka. This village, does it have a medical clinic? Pharmacy? Yes, small. Doctor may be there, maybe not. Depend on storm. Give me directions, landmarks, anything. Luka shook his head. You get lost, mountain kill you. I go, I know way. You can barely walk. Those mercenaries broke your ribs. Then we both go. Maya started to argue, then stopped. He was right. She didn't know the terrain, didn't speak the language, didn't have local knowledge. And Luka, despite his injuries, had lived on this mountain for 30 years. He knew every trail, every shortcut, every deadly crevasse. What about your granddaughter? She stay, she hide, she know how, she done before. If we don't come back, we come back. Luka said it with the certainty of a man who'd survived too much to die stupidly. For her, we come back. Maya looked at Cole, at the fever painting his face red, at the shivering that racked his body despite the blankets piled on him. Looked at the girl's hiding place in the ceiling, at the frightened eyes probably watching through gaps in the boards. Looked at her options and found them wanting. We leave at first light, she said. 3 hours, get some rest. Luka nodded, moved to tend Cole's fever. Maya sat by the window, watching the storm, and wondered if she was about to make the last mistake of her life. At 2100 hours, unable to sleep, Maya explored the house more thoroughly. If they were going to risk everything tomorrow, she wanted to know every detail about the man she was trusting. The house revealed its secrets slowly. A shelf of books in Russian and English, mostly religious texts, some philosophy. A worn Bible with passages underlined. A Quran, equally worn, equally loved. Luka was a man of many faiths, or perhaps of none, seeking wisdom wherever it lived. In a small chest under the sleeping pallet, she found more evidence of his life. Photographs, faded and cracked. Luka as a young man, strong and vital, standing with a woman, his wife probably. Beautiful, dark-haired, smiling at something outside the frame. More photos, a daughter, growing from child to teenager to young woman. And finally, the last photo, Luka with the woman and daughter, plus a small girl, the granddaughter, much younger, maybe 4 years old. No photos after that, just the old man and the child, everyone else gone. Lost to war, disease, time, or violence. Maya put the photos back carefully, feeling like an intruder in someone's grief. She climbed the ladder to the crawl space, moved slowly, making noise so the girl wouldn't be startled. At the top, she found a small space, barely tall enough to sit up in. The girl sat in the corner, wrapped in blankets, the rag doll clutched to her chest. I'm not going to hurt you, Maya said softly. The girl watched her with those two old eyes. Your grandfather is a good man, I think. I'm starting to think. Maya settled near the hatch, not approaching, giving the girl space. He's trying to save my friend. That takes courage. The girl signed something, quick, practiced movements. I don't understand sign language, Maya admitted, but I understand being scared. I understand hiding. I've done it too. The girl signed again, more slowly, like she was explaining something to someone very dense. Maya laughed softly despite herself. Yeah, I still don't get it, but that's okay. We don't need words to understand each other, do we? The girl hesitated, then shook her head. Your grandfather loves you very much. He's protecting you. From us, from the men outside, from everyone. That's what family does. The girl nodded slowly. I'm going to help him save my friend tomorrow. We'll be gone for a while. You'll be alone. Can you handle that? The girl signed again, emphatic, certain. Maya didn't know the words, but she knew the meaning. Yes, I can. I'm strong. Yeah, Maya said. I believe you are. She climbed back down, feeling something shift in her chest. Not trust, not quite, but something close to it. Something that felt like the first thaw after a long winter. At midnight, the mercenaries returned. Maya heard the engines first, diesel growl cutting through the storm. She was at the window instantly, Cole's liberated AK in her hands. 2 trucks, more men this time, 8, maybe 10, dismounting in the darkness. This wasn't a patrol, this was a raid. Luka, she hissed. The old man appeared from the back room, axe in hand, face grim. They come back, they lie. Where's the girl? Ceiling, but they search. I know. Maya's mind raced. The crawl space was obvious. The floor cache had already been discovered. There was nowhere left to hide. Unless... Is there a basement? Storm cellar? Anything? Luka hesitated, then nodded slowly. Yes, old bunker. From Soviet time. Hidden. Show me. Now. Luka moved to the corner opposite the stove, pushed aside a heavy shelf. Behind it, hidden in shadow, was a hatch. Metal, rusted, barely visible. He pulled it open, revealing stairs descending into darkness. Down. Now. All of us. Maya helped Cole to his feet, half carried him across the room. The old soldier was barely conscious, mumbling protests that made no sense. She got him to the hatch, pushed him through. He tumbled down the stairs, landing in a heap at the bottom. Not gentle, but alive. Girl! Luka called up to the ceiling. The hatch opened. The girl appeared, climbed down faster than Maya would have thought possible. She saw the bunker entrance, didn't hesitate, disappeared into the darkness. Outside, voices shouted. Boots on snow, coming closer. Go, Maya told Luka. I'm right behind you. The old man climbed down. Maya followed, pulling the hatch shut above her, hearing the heavy shelf slide back into place from some mechanism Luka had rigged. Clever. The entrance would be invisible unless you knew exactly where to look. The bunker was cramped, maybe 3 meters by 3 meters, ceiling so low she had to crouch. Old Soviet construction, concrete walls, iron supports, everything built to withstand artillery. There was a light, a single weak bulb powered by some ancient battery system. In the dim glow, Maya saw supplies, canned food, water containers, blankets, a medical kit. You've prepared for this, she said. War teach. Always have place to hide. Always have second plan. Luka settled against the wall, wincing as his broken ribs protested. Above them, muffled by concrete and earth, came the sounds of destruction. Boots on floorboards, furniture overturned, shelves crashing. The mercenaries were tearing the house apart, searching every corner, every crack. The girl pressed against Luka, trembling. He wrapped an arm around her, whispered something in their language. Comfort in a language Maya didn't know. Cole groaned, shifted, mumbled something about Montana. And Maya sat with the AK across her lap, listening to the destruction above, and wondered if the concrete would hold if they decided to burn the house down. Minutes passed. The sounds continued. Then gradually, they faded. Voices withdrew. Engines started. They waited in the darkness, breathing shallow, listening. Silence. An hour after the mercenaries left, Luka deemed it safe enough to emerge. The house above was destroyed. Furniture smashed, food scattered, jars broken on the floor. Everything ruined in the systematic fury of men who'd been cheated, and wanted someone to pay. But the house still stood, the walls held, the roof remained, damaged but survivable. Maya helped Cole back to the fire. His fever had spiked during the time in the bunker. His skin was burning, his breathing labored. Time was running out. "First light," Maya said to Luka. "No matter what, we go." Luka nodded, already gathering supplies for the journey. The girl climbed back into her crawl space, safe in her familiar hiding place. And Maya, unable to rest, explored the wreckage of the house, looking for anything useful the mercenaries might have missed. She found it in the corner behind the overturned shelf. A radio. Not American. Russian military, older model, battery-powered. The kind of equipment the mercenaries used. They must have dropped it during the search, forgotten it in their rush to leave. Maya picked it up, turned it on. Static crackled. Then voices, distant, distorted by the storm, but audible. Russian. Coordinating movements, calling in positions, reporting on search grids. They were hunting, still hunting. She listened, not understanding the words but catching the tone, the urgency. They were looking for something. Someone. High-value target. Then a word she recognized. Amerikansky. American. They were looking for Americans, not just her and Cole. Others. A larger operation. Maya's blood ran cold. This wasn't about them at all. They just stumbled into something bigger. A coordinated hunt, multiple teams, high-level planning. The kind of operation that required serious resources and serious motivation. Someone wanted Americans dead. Someone with money, influence, and no regard for rules of engagement. She kept listening, trying to pick out any useful intel. Then a new voice came on, clearer, stronger signal, speaking in heavily accented English. "All units, target is mobile. Last known position, Southern Valley. Proceed with caution. Target is armed and extremely dangerous. Capture preferred, kill if necessary." Target, singular. They were hunting one person. Identifying marks, female, late 20s, blonde hair, last seen in U.S. Army combat uniform. Goes by call sign, Viper. Maya's world stopped. Viper. That was her old call sign. The one she'd used in Kandahar, before the inquiry, before the transfer, before everything went to hell. They weren't hunting random Americans. They were hunting her, specifically her. Maya sat in the ruins of the house, the Russian radio silent in her hands, and tried to process the implications. Someone had betrayed her. Not just provided intel on a sniper position, but gave them her name, her call sign, her identifying characteristics. Someone who knew her history, knew she'd be on this mountain. Someone in her chain of command. The possibilities spiraled. Captain Morrison? No, he'd approved the mission but wouldn't have access to her personnel file details. Lieutenant Chen? Young, ambitious, but too junior to coordinate with foreign mercenaries. Staff Sergeant Williams? Close to retirement, might be looking to supplement his pension. Or someone higher, much higher. Someone who could access classified files, coordinate cross-border operations, authorize lethal force against American personnel. Maya thought about Kandahar, about the inquiry, about the general who'd sat across from her in that sterile conference room and asked pointed questions about her judgment, her loyalty, her willingness to follow orders, even when those orders came from questionable sources. General Bradley fucking Thornton. 3 stars, career intelligence officer, connections throughout the defense contractor world, a man who'd made a fortune through consulting after leaving active duty, a man who'd told her, point blank, that her questions about the Kandahar operation were unwelcome. She'd thought it was about covering up mistakes. What if it was about covering up something worse? What if the interpreter who'd betrayed them hadn't been Taliban at all, but working for Thornton? What if those 6 soldiers had died not because of bad luck, but because they'd learned something someone didn't want them to know? What if Maya, by surviving, had become a loose end? The thought was poison. It meant everything she'd believed about chain of command, about duty, about honor, was a lie. It meant the enemy wasn't just outside, it was everywhere. Cole, stirred by the fire, opened his eyes. Despite the fever, despite the pain, he saw her face and knew something was wrong. Maya, what is it? She told him. Everything. The radio, the manhunt, the call sign, her suspicions about Thornton. Cole was quiet for a long time. Then, if you're right, if they're specifically targeting you, then I'm not a priority. What? They want you. They ambushed us because you were there, but the target was always you. Which means, he struggled to sit up, failed, settled for meeting her eyes. Which means you need to run. Take the radio, head for the border, get somewhere with civilian oversight where they can't just disappear you. I'm not leaving you. Yes, you are. That's an order. You're not my CO anymore, Grizzly. We're partners. Then as your partner, I'm telling you, save yourself. Get out. Expose whatever this is. Make those bastards pay. Maya wanted to argue, wanted to refuse. But tactically, he was right. She couldn't carry him 10 clicks through a blizzard. She couldn't fight off multiple mercenary teams while protecting him. She couldn't extract them both. But she could run. She could survive. She could get the truth out if she abandoned him to do it. Before she could respond, Luka appeared, carrying a pack filled with supplies. Is time, he said. Storm breaks soon. Few hour, maybe. We must go now if we go at all. Change of plans, Maya said, her voice hollow. You get the medicine. I'll pay you. But you bring it back here, to Cole. I'm leaving. Luka frowned. Leave? Where you go? Far away from here. Far away from everyone. But your friend will live because you'll save him, right? The old man looked at Cole, at Maya, and understanding dawned in his eyes. They hunt you, specific you. Yes. Then you run. I get medicine. I save friend. You live. Everyone win. He paused. Except men who hunt you. They lose. Maya almost smiled. That's the idea. She gathered her gear, minimal. The M17 pistol, 2 magazines, the Russian radio, a map she'd found in the wreckage, compass, knife. Surviva, basics. Everything else was weight she couldn't afford. Cole grabbed her hand as she passed. His grip was weak, but insistent. Montana, when this is done, you and me, fly fishing, rivers so clear you can count the stones on the bottom. I'll hold you to that, old man. You better, Frost. She stood, nodded to Luka. The old man opened the door. Dawn was breaking, a pale, sickly light filtering through the thinning storm. Maya stepped into the cold and didn't look back, because if she looked back, she'd never leave, and Cole would die for nothing. Maya moved through the breaking storm like a ghost. The blizzard had weakened to scattered flurries, visibility improving to maybe 300 meters. Enough to see, enough to be seen. She kept to the tree line, using every scrap of cover the mountain offered. The AK-74M felt foreign in her hands. Wrong weight, wrong balance, wrong muscle memory. But it was loaded and functional, and that was enough. The Russian radio crackled periodically with updates. She'd learned to recognize certain words. Sektor meant sector. Движение meant movement. Cell meant target. They were coordinating a sweep pattern, multiple teams converging on predicted escape routes. Professional, thorough, expensive. Someone wanted her dead very badly. Maya checked her map, calculated distances. The border was 40 clicks northeast, through terrain that would kill her even without mercenaries hunting. Over mountains, across frozen rivers, through valleys where avalanches waited for the slightest provocation. 40 clicks might as well be 400. She needed a different plan, something they wouldn't expect. The radio crackled again. A new voice, American accent, but speaking Russian. Team 3, converge on northern approach. Target may attempt to reach Rally Point Echo. Rally Point Echo. Maya's pulse quickened. That was Firebase Kodiak's designated extraction point for compromised assets. 5 clicks south, in a valley with good helicopter access. If she could reach it, if she could signal somehow, maybe a rescue bird would come. Maybe. It was a trap, obviously. They were herding her toward it, funneling her into a kill zone. But it was also her only realistic chance. Maya adjusted her heading, moved downslope, and walked directly into the trap with her eyes open. The valley opened before her like a mouth. Wide, flat, perfect for landing zones. Also perfect for ambush. No cover except scattered boulders and a few scraggly trees. A sniper's paradise. Maya glassed the area with Cole's scope. She'd taken it from his kit before leaving. Through the optic, she spotted them. Positions on the ridgeline, 2-man teams, maybe 6 positions total. 12 guns minimum. Rifles, machine guns, maybe a grenade launcher. Overkill for one woman. Unless they knew her reputation. The radio crackled. Target approaching from northwest. All teams hold fire until she's in the open. Capture alive if possible. Alive. They wanted her alive. That changed the equation. Meant they couldn't use indiscriminate fire. Couldn't just saturate the area with lead. They'd have to be precise, careful. That gave her an edge. A small one, but edges were all she had left. Maya keyed the radio. A gamble, but fortune favored the insane. She spoke in clear English. "This is Sergeant Maya Daniels. Call sign Frost. I know you're listening. I know what you want, and I know who sent you." Silence on the radio. Then, "Sergeant Daniels, we can do this easy or hard. Your choice." "I choose option 3. You tell whoever's paying you that I've got evidence. Documents, recordings, everything about Kandahar, everything about Thornton's dealings. I die, it all goes public." She was bluffing. She had nothing except suspicions in a Russian radio. But they didn't know that. More silence. Longer this time. Someone was making a phone call, getting authorization for a change of plans. Then, "You're lying." "Am I? You willing to bet your employer's freedom on it? If you had evidence, you'd have used it already." "I was waiting for the right moment. Congratulations, you just gave it to me." Another pause. Maya used it to move, circling left, staying low. Keep them talking, keep them guessing, keep them from shooting. "What do you want?" the voice asked finally. "Safe passage to the border. My partner gets medical evacuation. The old man and his granddaughter are left alone. In exchange, I disappear. No evidence, no inquiry, no embarrassing questions." "And we're supposed to trust you?" Maya laughed, bitter, cold. "No more than I trust you, but we both want to walk away from this mountain alive. So let's deal." The radio went silent. Maya kept moving, reached the boulder field at the valley edge. Better cover here. She could make a stand if necessary. 5 minutes passed. 10. The sun broke through clouds, painting the valley in harsh light. Beautiful and terrible. Then engines, not trucks this time, something bigger. A helicopter rose over the southern ridge. Not Russian, American. A Black Hawk, unmarked, civilian registration but military modifications visible even at distance. It landed in the center of the valley, rotors kicking up snow. The side door opened. A man stepped out. Older, gray hair, 3-star insignia on his parka. Even at 300 meters, Maya recognized him. General Bradley Thornton. He'd come personally to clean up his mess. Thornton stood in the snow, unarmed, hands visible. A show of good faith or supreme confidence. Maya approached from the tree line, rifle up, finger on the trigger. The mercenaries on the ridgeline tracked her movement but held fire. Professional discipline. "Sergeant Daniels," Thornton called over the rotor wash. "We need to talk." "I'm listening." "Not here. Too many ears." He gestured at the helicopter. 5 minutes, just you and me. Then you decide. Decide what? Whether you want to die a traitor or live as a hero. Maya's blood ran cold. I'm not the traitor here. That depends entirely on perspective. Thornton smiled, the smile of a man holding all the cards. 5 minutes, what have you got to lose? Everything. But he was right. She was out of options. She couldn't fight her way out, couldn't run far enough. The only play left was to hear what he had to say. Maybe find a weakness. Maybe buy time for Cole and Luka. 5 minutes, Maya agreed, and I keep my rifle. Of course. Thornton climbed back into the helicopter, left the door open. Maya approached, every instinct screaming, trap. But she climbed in anyway, because sometimes the only way through hell was straight ahead. Inside, the helicopter was configured for VIP transport. Leather seats, soundproofing, a small table bolted to the floor. Thornton sat across from her, relaxed, confident. You've been a problem, Sergeant, he said once the door closed. The soundproofing cut the rotor noise to a dull thrum. A persistent, annoying problem. Kandahar, Maya said. Those 6 men, you had them killed. I had them redeployed into a high-risk situation, yes. Casualties were unfortunate but acceptable. They were murdered. They were liabilities. Thornton's voice didn't change, didn't show remorse or guilt, just cold calculation. They discovered certain financial irregularities. Kickbacks, equipment sales, nothing major, but enough to derail several lucrative contracts if it became public. So you fed them to the Taliban through that interpreter. Through an asset, yes. The interpreter was simply a convenient proxy. Deniable. Maya's finger tightened on the trigger. One shot, center mass. End this here. Don't, Thornton said calmly. You kill me, those men on the ridge kill you. Then they kill your partner. Then they burn down that house with the old man and child inside. Everyone loses. Or you listen to my offer. Because I don't want to kill you, Sergeant. You're too valuable, too talented, too wasted on nursemaid missions, and loyalty to a system that doesn't give a damn about you. I'm listening. Thornton pulled out a tablet, brought up documents. Private military contractor. Salary 4 times what the Army pays. Retirement benefits, health care, and most importantly, autonomy. You work for people who understand that war is business, and business requires difficult decisions. You want to hire me. I want to offer you a future. The Army will chew you up and spit you out. 20 years of service, and you'll retire to a trailer park and PTSD nightmares. But work for me and you retire to whatever life you want. Beach house, mountain cabin, world travel, your choice. Maya looked at the documents. The numbers were staggering. More money in 1 year than she'd make in a decade of military service. And all I have to do is forget about Kandahar. All you have to do is recognize that those 6 men died in service of a greater good. American defense contractors employ hundreds of thousands of people. They provide security, stability, deterrence. A few casualties to preserve that system? Acceptable losses. They weren't losses. They were men. They had families. And those families received full benefits, death in combat, honorable. Their sacrifice meant something. Thornton leaned forward. You can make their deaths meaningful by ensuring the system continues, or you can die trying to expose it and accomplish nothing except adding your name to the casualty list. Maya sat in silence, the weight of the offer pressing down on her. He was offering her everything: money, security, a future without nightmares. All she had to do was let 6 good men stay buried. All she had to do was become what she'd been fighting against. I need to think, she said finally. Of course, you have 24 hours. After that, the offer expires and we return to option 2, which is, you die, painfully, as do the old man and his granddaughter. Your partner too, assuming he survives the infection. Thornton stood. 24 hours, Sergeant. Choose wisely. The door opened. Maya climbed out, walked back across the snow to the tree line. Behind her, the helicopter lifted off, banking south, disappearing over the ridge. She'd bought time. But time for what? Maya made it back to the house in 3 hours, moving fast, rage fueling her through exhaustion. The sun was high now, the storm fully broken, the mountain revealed in all its harsh beauty. She kicked open the door, rifle up, half expecting to find everyone dead. Instead, she found Luka tending coal by the fire. The old man looked up, startled. "You come back," he said, surprised. "I come back." Maya lowered the rifle. "How is he?" "Medicine working, fever down. He live." Luka gestured at Cole, who was sleeping peacefully, color returning to his face. "You get what you need?" "I got information. Whether I needed it." Maya slumped against the wall, suddenly exhausted beyond measure. "I don't know anymore." Luka brought her tea, pressed the warm cup into her hands. "You see enemy?" "I saw the man who wants me dead. He offered me a job instead." "Ah." Luka nodded like that made perfect sense. "Always easier to buy than kill. Cheaper too. He killed 6 men, good men, to cover up theft. And now he wants you help him steal more." Luka sat across from her. "What you tell him?" "I said I'd think about it." "What there to think?" Luka looked genuinely confused. "You know answer. In here," he tapped his chest over his heart. "You come back. You no run. You come back for friend. That tell me what kind of soldier you are." Maya thought about the money, the security, the future Thornton had offered. Thought about beach houses and peace, and never having to sleep with one eye open again. Then she thought about 6 coffins, 6 funerals, 6 families destroyed by one man's greed. "I can't prove any of it," she said. "I don't have evidence, just suspicions and a Russian radio." "Then you get evidence." "How?" "He's a 3-star general with connections throughout the defense industry. I'm a sergeant nobody will believe." Luka smiled, a knowing, ancient smile. "I tell you secret. You listen. In war is not always about who has bigger gun. Sometimes is about who has better story." Before Maya could respond, a sound from the crawl space made them both look up. The girl was descending the ladder, moving with purpose, carrying something wrapped in cloth. She signed to Luka urgently. The old man's eyes widened. "What?" Maya demanded. "What is she saying?" Luka unwrapped the cloth. Inside was a camera, digital, military-grade, weatherproof. The kind of equipment special operations use for intelligence gathering. "She find this," Luka said, "in wreckage. When bad men search house, they drop. She take." Maya took the camera, powered it on. The battery was low but functional. She accessed the photo library, and there it was. Hundreds of photos, documents, spreadsheets, bank transfers, communications between Thornton and foreign arms dealers, meeting photos with insurgent leaders, shipping manifests for weapons that should never have left American arsenals. Evidence, concrete, damning, court-martial-worthy evidence. The mercenaries, Maya breathed. They were documenting everything. Insurance policy in case Thornton tried to cut them out. Luka nodded. "Is good story now, yes?" Maya looked at the girl, at this small, traumatized child who just handed her the weapon she needed. "How did you know?" The girl signed. Luka translated. "She say, bad men always keep proof, in case they need to hurt boss. Is how bad men stay alive." Smart girl, survivor's instinct. Maya had her evidence. Now she just needed to get it to someone who'd act on it, and she had less than 24 hours to do it. Cole woke at 1400 hours, clear-eyed and coherent for the first time in days. The antibiotics had worked their magic. Fever broken, infection retreating. He'd live. Maya showed him the camera, showed him everything. "Holy hell," Cole whispered, scrolling through photos. "This is enough to put him away for life." maybe even death penalty. If we can get it to the right people, JAG Corps, Inspector General, hell, leak it to the press if we have to. Thornton will know the camera's missing within hours. He'll lock down everything, destroy evidence, flee the country. We need someone who can act immediately. Cole thought hard. Colonel Sarah Chen, JAG officer at CENTCOM. She led the Kandahar inquiry. She thought something was wrong but couldn't prove it. This, he gestured at the camera, this would give her everything she needs. She's in Qatar. That's 2,000 miles from here. Then we get creative. Cole pulled out his phone. Dead, battery long expired. But Luka had electricity, limited generator power. We charge this, upload the photos to a secure server, send her the access codes. Even if they kill us, the evidence survives. They'll trace the upload. Let them. By the time they figure out where it came from, she'll have already acted. Cole looked at Maya. This is it. This is how we end this. Not with bullets, with truth. Maya wanted to believe him, but she'd learned the hard way that truth didn't always win. Thornton gave me 24 hours. He'll have assets monitoring communications. The second we try to upload, he'll know. Then we need a distraction. Cole's mind was working again. Tactical planning overriding physical limitations. Something big enough to pull his attention while the upload happens. Luka spoke up from the corner. I distract. No, Maya said immediately. Too dangerous. I am old man, already dangerous every day. I distract better than young soldier. I know mountain. I know where they watch. I make them chase me, give you time. If they catch you, they know catch me. I survived 30 years of war. I survived this too. Luka's face was set, determined. You give me 1 hour. I lead them away. You upload. Everyone win. Except maybe Luka, Maya thought. But the old man was right. They needed a distraction, and he was their best option. 1 hour, Maya agreed. Then we upload everything and get the hell off this mountain. Luka left at 1,500 hours, taking nothing but his axe and a lifetime of mountain knowledge. The girl signed frantically, begging him not to go. He signed back. Comfort, promises, lies about returning safely. Then he kissed her forehead and disappeared into the snow. Maya watched from the window as the old man moved across the slope, making himself visible, deliberately exposing himself to the observation posts she knew were watching. Within minutes, she heard engines, the mercenaries mobilizing, taking the bait. Luka led them on a chase, using every trick the mountain had taught him. False trails, doubling back, using terrain to break line of sight. The old man was magnificent, a lifetime of survival instinct distilled into pure evasion. But he was also 70 years old with broken ribs, and they were professionals with radios and vehicles. It couldn't last forever. Maya charged Cole's phone, connected it to Luka's generator-powered internet, satellite uplink, slow but functional. She began uploading files. The camera had thousands of images. It would take time. Come on, she muttered, watching the progress bar crawl. Come on. Cole kept watch at the window, his liberated AK in hand despite his weakened state. The girl sat in the corner, signing prayers to a god who'd stopped listening to this mountain long ago. Upload, 23%. Outside, gunfire. Distant, sporadic. They'd found Luka. Upload, 47%. More gunfire, sustained now, automatic weapons. Luka returning fire maybe, or them just expending ammunition on a target they'd finally cornered. Upload, 71%. An explosion, grenade or RPG. The sound echoed across the valley, then silence. Upload, 89%. Maya's hands shook. She sent the message to Colonel Chen. Urgent, evidence of corruption and murder. General Bradley Thornton, Kandahar cover-up. Act immediately, lives at stake. Upload, 100%. Done. The message sent. The evidence was out. Whatever happened now, Thornton couldn't stop it. The door burst open. Luka stumbled in, clothes torn, face bleeding, but alive. He collapsed by the fire, breathing hard. "They come," he gasped. "All of them. I lead them here. No more running." Maya looked at Cole. Cole looked back. "How many?" Maya asked. "All of them," Luka repeated, which meant this house was about to become a fortress, or a tomb. They came at sunset, 20 men, maybe more, surrounding the house in a professional perimeter. Heavy weapons, thermal scopes, all the advantages. Maya and Cole had 2 rifles, maybe 80 rounds between them, and a house that wouldn't stop rifle fire. The odds were mathematical certainty they would die here. The radio crackled. Thornton's voice, calm and disappointed. "Sergeant Daniels, that was foolish. The upload was traced. We've already intercepted the communication." Maya keyed the radio. "Bullshit. You can't stop it fast enough." "Can I? Colonel Chen is currently on a transport flight over the Atlantic. Won't land for 6 hours. By then, her credentials will be revoked, her access terminated, and she'll be under investigation for collaboration with foreign agents. Your evidence will be dismissed as fabricated, and you'll be dead." Maya's stomach dropped. He'd planned for this. Of course he'd planned for this. "But," Thornton continued, "I'm a reasonable man. Surrender now, and I'll make it quick. Painless. Your partner and the civilians will be spared. You have my word." "Your word is worthless." "Perhaps, but it's the only currency you have left." Maya looked at Cole, at Luka, at the girl hiding under the table, terrified and silent. Looked at all the people who'd die because she'd fought a fight she couldn't win. "No," Cole said, reading her expression. "Don't even think it. They'll kill all of you. Then we die together, fighting, like soldiers." Cole chambered around. "Besides, you uploaded the evidence. Even if Chen can't act on it immediately, it's out there. It'll resurface. Truth has a way of doing that." "That's optimistic." "I'm an optimistic guy. Ask my ex-wife." "Oh wait, you can't," because optimism drove her away. Despite everything, Maya almost smiled. Luka spoke up. "I have idea. Is crazy, but maybe work." "I'm listening," Maya said. "Girl," Luka gestured at his granddaughter. "She very small. She fit in tight place. We have old mine shaft, 100 meter from house. Go deep into mountain. They no find. She take camera, hide there. If we die, she wait. When rescue come, she give camera. Evidence survive." It was a long shot. A desperate, impossible long shot. But it was something. "Do it," Maya said. The girl left through the back door, crawling through snow, invisible in the growing darkness. Luka had given her directions. Count 60 paces north, find the large boulder with a split top, crawl through the gap beneath it. The mine shaft entrance was hidden there, camouflaged by decades of neglect. She'd be safe. Probably. Maybe. It was the best they could do. The mercenaries attacked at 1900 hours. Professional assault, suppressive fire on the front, breaching team on the sides, smoke grenades to mask movement. They weren't taking chances anymore. Maya and Cole returned fire, using ammunition sparingly, aiming for effect rather than volume. 2 men went down, wounded, not dead. The others pressed forward, using fire and movement tactics that would make a drill sergeant proud. They were inside the perimeter in 5 minutes, inside the house in 10. Maya fell back to the bunker entrance, covering Cole as he descended. Luka followed, bleeding from a dozen minor wounds, but still fighting. They sealed themselves in the Soviet bunker, pulled the hatch shut, and waited in darkness as boots thundered overhead. "How long before they find us?" Cole asked. "Not long," Luka admitted. "They have good equipment. They find. Then we make our stand here." Maya checked her ammunition. 8 rounds left in the AK, maybe 10 in the pistol. 20 rounds against 20 men. The math hadn't improved. Above them, the sounds of systematic searching. Furniture moved, Walls tapped, floors examined, then silence. Then the sound of metal on metal. Someone had found the hatch. It opened. Light flooded the bunker, bright, blinding. Figures silhouetted against it. "Out!" a voice commanded in accented English. "Now! No more games!" Maya looked at Cole. Cole nodded. They climbed out, hands visible, weapons discarded. There was no point in dying for nothing. The mercenary leader stood in the ruined house, flanked by his men. He looked tired, irritated. "You cause much trouble for nothing," he said. "Your general, he pay good money for simple job. You make complicated." "That's what I do," Maya said. "Complicate things." "Not anymore." He raised his rifle. Then the girl stepped through the door. She moved fast, faster than anyone expected. In her hand, something metal glinted. A mirror, probably from Luka's shelves. She angled it, catching light from the mercenaries' tactical lamps, reflecting it directly into the leader's eyes. He flinched, pulled the trigger reflexively. The shot went wide, punching through the roof instead of Maya's chest. In that half-second of distraction, Maya moved. She dropped her rifle but not her knife. It was in her hand before conscious thought, driven by muscle memory and desperation. She covered the 3 meters between her and the leader in a heartbeat, blade finding the gap between his vest plates, sinking into soft tissue beneath his ribs. He gasped, fell. Chaos erupted. What followed was confusion, violence, and luck in quantities Maya would never be able to explain. Cole grabbed a fallen rifle, fired from the floor, his wounded leg useless, but his arms still strong. 3-round bursts, controlled, precise. 2 more mercenaries fell. Luka grabbed his axe, swung with the fury of a man who'd lost everything except one small girl, and refused to lose her too. The blades sang through air, through flesh, through bone. And Maya fought with knife and fists and improvised weapons, years of training distilled into pure survival instinct. When it was over, the house was a slaughterhouse. Bodies everywhere. The mercenaries hadn't expected desperate resistance, hadn't expected an old man to fight like a demon, hadn't expected a wounded soldier to die standing up, hadn't expected a little girl to be brave enough to save them all. Maya sat against the wall, bleeding from a dozen cuts, breathing hard. Cole lay nearby, unconscious but alive. Luka cradled his granddaughter, whispering words in a language older than the war. The radio crackled one last time, Thornton's voice, cold and final. "It's done, Sergeant. Even if you survive, you've accomplished nothing. The evidence has been suppressed. Colonel Chen has been detained. You're a fugitive now, a traitor, and I'm a hero." Maya picked up the radio with bloody hands. "Maybe," she said, "but I'm alive, and you're terrified. I can hear it in your voice. You can't touch me. I already have." The girl took the camera, hid it somewhere your men will never find. And when rescue comes, and it will come, she'll give it to them, and then everyone will know what you are. Silence on the radio. Long, heavy silence. Then, "You're bluffing." "Am I? You willing to bet your freedom on it?" The radio went dead. Thornton was gone. Running, probably, trying to cover his tracks. But Maya had learned something important. Scared men made mistakes. She looked at the girl, at the mirror still clutched in her small hand. The child who'd been silent for so long had spoken volumes in one perfect act of courage. "Thank you," Maya said. The girl signed something. Luka translated, his voice thick with emotion. She say, "Family protect family. You family now." Maya felt something break inside her chest. Not damage, but healing. The ice around her heart cracking, letting warmth in for the first time since Kandahar. Trust had been earned. Not through words, but through blood and sacrifice, and the shared understanding that some things mattered more than survival. Outside she heard it. Helicopters. Multiple birds, American markings. A full extraction team, Probably scrambled when the mercenary operation went loud. Rescue. They'd survived. Against every odd, against every expectation, they'd survived. The military courtroom in Fort Leavenworth was cold, formal, and absolutely packed. Maya sat in the witness box, wearing her dress uniform, the silver star pinned to her chest for actions on that frozen mountain. Across the room, General Bradley Thornton sat in handcuffs, his 3 stars stripped, his career destroyed, his freedom measured in decades now. Colonel Chen had acted on the evidence. Eventually, the communication hadn't been intercepted. Thornton had lied, bluffed, tried to buy time. But truth, as Cole had said, had a way of resurfacing. The girl's camera had contained everything: bank records, communication logs, photos of meetings that should never have happened, a complete record of corruption that reached higher than anyone had imagined. 19 people were under indictment, hundreds more under investigation. The scandal would take years to fully unravel, but it had started here, in this courtroom, with one sergeant who'd refused to stay buried. The prosecutor asked her final question. "Sergeant Daniels, why did you risk everything to expose this corruption?" Maya thought about 6 coffins, about an old man and a mute girl living on a frozen mountain, about Cole, who'd chosen to trust when trust was suicide, about the dog tags in her pocket that she still carried, reminding her of what was lost when good men were betrayed. "Because it mattered," she said simply. "Because some things are worth dying for. And because I learned from a man named Luka that family, real family, isn't blood. It's who stands with you when the world burns." In the gallery, Cole grinned. Beside him, Luka sat with his granddaughter. The old man had been granted asylum, resettled in Montana with military honors for his actions. The girl was learning English, learning to laugh again, learning that not all soldiers brought pain. She signed something. Cole translated. "She says you promised to take her fishing." "I did," Maya agreed. "Rivers so clear you can count the stones on the bottom." "Montana," Cole said, "when this is all over." "When this is all over," Maya echoed. But looking at Thornton in chains, at justice being served, at a system that had bent but not broken, she realized something important. This wasn't over. It was just beginning. The fight for what was right never really ended. It just found new battlefields, new enemies, new reasons to keep going. And Maya Daniels, call sign Frost, was done running from that fight. She'd found her family, found her purpose, found the one thing that mattered more than survival: honor.